Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all doing well today. We've got some important news to break down, and it's going to affect millions of South Africans who rely on social grants to support their daily needs. So sit tight, grab a cup of tea or coffee, and let's dive right into the big update, because this is something that's going to make a real difference in a lot of people's lives. As of May 2025, the South African Social Security Agency, better known as SASSA, has officially announced an increase in social grant payments. Yes, you heard that right. Starting this month, beneficiaries across the country will be seeing higher payments reflected in their accounts. And it's already creating a lot of buzz and conversation. Whether you're receiving an older person's grant, a child support grant, or any of the other critical forms of social support, this news is something you definitely want to be fully informed about. The South African government, under the leadership of President Cyril Ramaphosa and the Ministry of Social Development, made the decision to boost grant payments in an effort to keep up with the rising cost of living, inflation, and the economic challenges that have hit households hard over the past couple of years. Food prices, transport costs, utilities, you name it. Everything has been getting more expensive. For millions who depend on SASSA grants to make ends meet, the increases have become not just necessary but urgent. Now, the new grant amounts have been officially confirmed and rolled out. And today, we're going to talk about exactly how much more each you can expect to receive, why these changes were made now, how beneficiaries can make sure they get their payments on time, and what this means for the broader South African economy and community. Starting with the older person's grant, also commonly known as the pensioner's grant, beneficiaries will now receive 2,270 Rand per month if they are under the age of 75. If you're 75 or older, you will now receive 2,290 Rand per month. That's an increase of 100 Rand from previous levels. It might sound like a small amount to some, but for many pensioners living on fixed incomes, this bump is absolutely crucial. It helps cover essentials like medication, groceries, electricity, and even transport to and from doctor's appointments. Given that pensioners are often among the most vulnerable members of society, especially those without additional sources of income or family support, this increase is being welcomed with open arms. Turning to the disability grant, recipients will now receive 2,270 Rand per month as well, aligning with the new amount for the standard older person's grant. This consistency helps make the system more fair and transparent. People living with disabilities face unique challenges and expenses, from medical bills to specialized transportation needs, and this payment boost aims to ease some of those burdens. Advocacy groups have long pushed for greater support for the disabled community, and while there is still much work to be done, this increase is seen as a positive step forward. When it comes to the child support grant, a program that millions of families rely on to help care for young children, the new monthly payment has increased to 530 Rand. That's an increase of 20 Rand from previous levels. Again, while it may seem modest to those not living paycheck to paycheck, for families struggling to buy diapers, baby formula, school supplies, and clothing, every Rand truly matters. With food inflation being particularly harsh, the extra 20 Rand can help stretch a family's food budget just that little bit further. Parents across the country have already expressed relief and gratitude for this change, even as many continue to call for even higher levels of support in the future. For the foster care grant, payments have risen to 1,180 Rand per month. Foster parents provide an incredibly important service to society, opening their homes and hearts to children who need stability, love, and care after facing hardship or abuse. Increasing the foster care grant acknowledges the critical role foster families play and helps them provide better opportunities for the kids under their care. It's not just a financial issue, It's about strengthening families and communities from the ground up. The Care Dependency Grant, aimed at children with disabilities who need special care, has also increased to 2,270 Rand. Much like the Disability Grant for adults, this amount acknowledges the high cost of care and specialized services that families need to ensure their children can live full and dignified lives. In many cases, families relied on these grants to afford therapies, special schooling, and assistive technologies that aren't covered elsewhere. Raising this amount is seen as a lifeline for thousands of households across South Africa.
Now, while these increases are certainly a cause for celebration, it's important to understand why they are happening now. South Africa, like much of the world, has been grappling with high inflation rates, especially when it comes to basic goods and services. The government has faced mounting pressure from civil society organizations, economic experts, and the public to step up and do more for the country's most vulnerable citizens. The Department of Social Development, led by Minister Lindiwe Zulu, worked closely with the National Treasury to assess what could be done within the constraints of the national budget. After months of negotiation and planning, they were able to secure additional funding for SASSA payments, and now, finally, beneficiaries are seeing the results. Moreover, this move is also politically significant. With the 2026 elections already looming on the horizon, there is growing awareness within the ruling party that delivering tangible improvements in people's lives is essential to maintaining public trust and support. By raising social grants, the government hopes not only to fulfill its social obligations, but also to signal that it is responsive to the daily struggles South Africans face. It's a delicate balancing act, supporting the most vulnerable while also managing the national budget responsibly. But for now, most analysts agree that increasing grants was both the right thing to do morally and the smart thing to do politically. If you're wondering how the new payments will be distributed, SASSA has confirmed that the increases have already been processed for the May 2025 payment cycle. Beneficiaries should see the new amounts in their bank accounts, SASSA cards, or through cash payment points depending on their chosen method of collection. If you haven't seen the increase yet, officials recommend giving it a day or two, as there may be slight processing delays in certain areas. If by the end of the first week of May, you still haven't received the correct amount, it's advised to contact SASSA directly or visit your nearest SASSA office to ensure there are no issues with your account details or grant status. SASSA has also made efforts to improve its communication with beneficiaries, launching SMS notifications and updating its website and social media channels more frequently. If you want to double-check the exact payment dates and amounts, I highly recommend following SASSA's official channels for the most accurate information. Scams have also been on the rise lately, with criminals targeting grant recipients. So, it's important to be cautious. Always verify information through trusted sources and never share your SASSA details with strangers. Economists are already weighing in on what this increase means for the broader South African economy. When social grants go up, it's not just the beneficiaries who benefit. There's often a ripple effect throughout the economy. When people have a little bit more money in their pockets, they can spend a little bit more at local businesses, supermarkets, transport services, and so on. This helps stimulate economic activity at the grassroots level, supporting jobs and small businesses, especially in rural and township areas where formal employment opportunities can be scarce. Social grants are a critical part of keeping the economy afloat. There's also the social impact to consider. Higher grants mean fewer people falling through the cracks, fewer children going to bed hungry, and fewer elderly people having to choose between buying food and buying medicine. It can mean better school attendance for children who can afford proper uniforms and supplies, and it can mean better health outcomes for families who can now afford healthier food choices. These might sound like small things, but together they add up to a more resilient and hopeful society. Of course, challenges remain. The increases, while welcome, may not be enough to fully offset the impact of inflation, especially if prices continue to rise throughout 2025. Advocacy groups continue to call for more regular adjustments to grants, suggesting that payments should be tied directly to inflation rates to ensure that recipients don't lose purchasing power over time. Others argue that deeper systemic reforms are needed to create more jobs, improve education, and address the root causes of poverty so that fewer people need to rely on grants in the first place. These are complex debates that will continue, but for today, the focus is on celebrating a positive step forward.
One important thing to keep in mind is that SASSA has made it clear that there are no new application processes required to receive the increased amounts. If you are an existing beneficiary and your grant is active, the increase should be applied automatically. However, if you recently applied and are still waiting for approval, your payments will reflect the new amounts once your application is finalized. It's always a good idea to keep all your documentation up to date. Things like your ID, proof of residence, and bank account details, to avoid any delays or complications with your grant payments. Another encouraging development is that the government is looking into ways to make it even easier to access grants in the future. Pilot programs are underway to allow more online applications, digital updates of information, and faster processing times. In some provinces, SASSA is partnering with local municipalities to bring mobile offices to remote areas, making it easier for people who live far from major towns to access services. These kinds of innovations, while still in the early stages, could help make the social safety net even more accessible and effective in the years to come. So, what should you do next if you are a SASSA grant recipient? First, check your payment to make sure the increase has been applied. Second, stay informed by following SASSA's official communications. Third, be vigilant against scams and fraudulent messages pretending to be from SASSA. And finally, if you're able, spread the word to family members, neighbors, and friends who might not have easy access to the internet or news. Make sure they know about the increases so they can also check their payments and avoid being left in the dark. As we wrap up today's video, I just want to say that even small victories like this matter. Every step we take toward building a fair and more supportive society is worth celebrating. We still have a long way to go, but today, we can acknowledge the hard work of the activists, organizations, and everyday South Africans who pushed for these changes and made their voices heard. Your persistence has paid off and hopefully inspires even more action and advocacy moving forward. Thank you so much for tuning in today. If you found this update helpful, please make sure to give the video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more important news and updates about SASSA, social grants, and other critical topics affecting our communities. Your support really means the world and helps us keep bringing you the information you need. Stay safe, stay informed, and I'll see you in the next one.